Hi there, I'm Vicky McCarthy from Aussie Stampers. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I'll be showing you an easy double embossing technique on this 60th birthday card. Now what you'll need for this project is listed here: silver glimmer paper, smoky slate and basic black cardstock, Memento black ink. I'll be using the Apothecary Accents framelits, the 1,000,001 stamp set and the Hearts border punch. I'll also be using a retired die to create the numbers 6 and 0, but I'll show you an alternative when we get to that stage. Here is the double hearts border that I showed you how to make in my previous video, and if you're not sure how to make this, just click back and have a look at the tutorial that will be on the double hearts border tip video. So you're going to start with 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch of silver glimmer paper and pop it into your hearts border punch and punch out the hearts all along one side. Then you're going to turn it over and punch the hearts out on the other side. And when you're lining this up, you want to make sure that no hearts are showing through on the left-hand side. And for more detail on this, you can go back to my previous video, which has the tutorial. So when you're finished, you're going to have something like this, and that's going to go inside your card. You're also going to have all these lovely little confetti hearts, so save them up. You'll be using them for many projects. Now I'm taking the Modern Mosaic embossing folder, and I'm taking some basic black cardstock, just a card base folded in half, and I'm going to put the entire card base into the embossing folder. And what this does, once you've run it through the Big Shot, you can see I'm lining it up quite carefully there so it's nice and straight. It will give you embossing on both the front and back of the card. So one side will be embossed, the other will be debossed. And this is how it looks. You can see I've also cut out the 6 and the 0 using the Alphabet Bigs die, but you could use the alternative that I've listed there, which is the new numbers die, which is in our new catalogue, if you don't have the Alphabet Bigs typeset. This is how it looks when it comes out. It's pretty, isn't it? And you'll need to put a card liner inside. I'm using smoky slate and a liner piece so that you'll have something to write on. For the front of the card, I'm using the Apothecary Accents die and some Memento black ink and the 1,000,001 stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp that in the middle of this smoky slate layering piece. Just stamp that down, give it a good press, and isn't that lovely? It's got beautiful font, that stamp set. I use this one quite a lot. Run it through the Big Shot, pop it out, and you'll have a nice frame that you can use on another card too. Now, it's going to give you a lovely look on your card because the smoky slate and the basic black are a great colour combination. I'm using some grey glimmer brads. Again, these are retired, but you could use whatever kind of brads you have in your stash here that would work with this. Silver brads of any kind would look good on this card front. I'm just prizing them apart because these brads sometimes stick together. The paint sometimes sticks to them. That's an easy solution. Just pop your paper piercer in between the two prongs on the back, and that will loosen the paint. Just like this. Just pop your piercer in and then they'll pop open for you. You can see I'm using a piercing mat and my piercing tool. That's a very old piercing tool that I'm using. It's one that I've had for many, many years. Stampin' Up piercing tool is much nicer. So now to adhere this to the front, I'm just using some dimensionals. And I'm popping quite a few on here because it's quite a large element. So I have 5 dimensionals, and I'm just pressing the tops just so that the paper on the top will come off easily. If you just press them in the centre, that's another tip for you. Pop that on the front of your card, line it up nice and square. And now you can bring in your 6 and your 0, or if it was a 4 and a 0 for a 40th birthday, or a 5 and a 0 for a 50th birthday, or you can use this for any special birthday just by changing the numbers on it. You can see I'm dotting some Tombow multi-adhesive on. Now this is what I do on small pieces. It's a good trick. Bring in some printer paper, pick them up like this, and what that does is it takes off any of the excess glue that might smudge on your project. It's also an easy way to pick them up from your grid paper, just using some printer paper. And then just fold your printer paper to a clean piece, and then just blot them again, so that if any of the Tombow multi-adhesive does smoosh out, it won't spoil the effect of your work. Alright, so that's coming together now. I'm going to take one of the little confetti hearts and I'm going to pop it on the front of the card. And for that I'm going to be using Tombow multi-adhesive again, just a tiny dot. And pop that into the centre of that piece of curl that's coming out from the writing. Isn't it beautiful writing? I love this font. Fabulous is what you are. It's a really nice sentiment too. So now we need to put together the inside of the card, and for that you'll bring in a smoky slate layering piece that's a 1/4 of an inch smaller than the inside of the card, and this lovely double hearts border that we've created. And using your Tombow multi-adhesive again, and this is where that blotting technique really comes into its own. You'll see that I'm going to turn that over and just give it a blot, then pick it up and adhere it to the base of that layering piece. And just trim off the edge with the scissors once you've given it a good blot. Just on each end, giving it a trim. Pretty, isn't it? It's a really lovely trim. Now I'm going to be using the Fast Fuse adhesive. I love this stuff, it's great. You can see how I'm giving a little check mark each time I lift it up from the paper. I'm pushing my hand up to the left like a little tick mark, and I'm not using a huge amount of this. You really don't need to waste your Fast Fuse adhesive. You can be quite frugal with the amount you use and it will stick very solidly to your card base. You could also use sticky strip. I wouldn't recommend snail because you've actually embossed this, and I think you need a solid base inside. Now one final trick to finish it off is a little confetti heart, some more Tombow adhesive, and this will echo the heart that's on the outside of the card. So I wanted to bring that element to the inside as well. There it is, and it echoes that tiny heart on the front. And that's how your card looks when it's finished. Now another thing that I decided to do with this card was to emboss the envelope with the Modern Mosaic embossing folder, and I'll show you a photograph of that. You can see the card there is embossed. I wrote the name on the card before I embossed it, otherwise it'll become quite wobbly if you try and write on an embossed envelope. But it's a very pretty card and I was really happy with how it turned out. If you'd like to see more of these cards, then remember to subscribe to my channel, Aussie Stampers. And thanks for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.